All right. Hello and welcome. As always, let me know how the audio is. Looks like the video is coming through. Well, hello, as I say, and welcome to the Ramblestream with Janus Motorcycles and yours truly, Richard Worsham. This will be episode 25 on this very chilly evening here in Goshen, Indiana. But yeah, looking forward to this one. We've had a busy day launching the new model line, the Origin series, and I am going to be talking a lot about it this evening. So your questions can be answered, and I hope we'll share some more on the basic idea. I'm going to turn my background volume down. There we go. But yeah, welcome everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces in here. We'll start looking through the comments. Scott wins the award. Scott Spence from up in Elkhart, 30 minutes away, with his two Halcyon 250. He has a 250 and a 450 Halcyon. Let's see. He's Dan Rademski from Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, 450 number 235. Bob is on from Sturgis, South Dakota, patiently waiting for his bike. No sipping yet. Having supper after the stream. Well, thank you for waiting. Incidentally, actually, I'm going to make this work because I took a picture. Walking in, Chad, our delivery guy, has picked up a huge load of bikes and he's headed out. So I don't know if any of you all's bikes are on that load, but I thought I would maybe share a picture of the van as he's preparing to go. I'll do that real quick. Too good to miss. Here we go. I'll put that up there. Look at me using technology here. All right, let's go ahead and switch screens here. There we go. That's Chad's amazing Mad Max rig. And when I pulled up, he was just finishing loading up the trailer and truck and heading out with a lot of Janus in the back of that thing. So I hope that will make a bunch of people's new year. And maybe some of you all's. All right, let's go back to the other screen. Yeah, so let's keep looking at some comments here. We got Mark McGee, Halcyon 250 number 997, Anna Cortez, Washington, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Good afternoon out there on the West Coast. Straw Dog, hey folks, Halcyon 250 number 769, Blue, New Hampshire. Jim Winters, another Hoosier. Phoenix 78 and 450 number 150 in the Indiana Dunes. Ken Plums, good to see you, Ken. Loving the Origins idea, hoping it expands our owners community. Less is more. There you go. Straw Dog says hello. Dan says, I read Kino's Journey. Oh, wow. Well, you're ahead of me. I will, as our dear friend Confed Yank is constantly reminding me to get that. So you're a little bit ahead of me, but I'm going to get it read. He says, I would be happy to hang that art on my wall. The plot? I bet as entertaining as a 1960s Star Trek. Well, I guess depending on your tastes, that's entertaining or not. Jack Coleman, Halcyon 250 number 1037, Marble Hill, Georgia, drinking a Guinness. Very good. Ken says, like I said last week, Janus owners tend to own our bikes, not to impress others, but ourselves. Well said, well said. And I think this poem that I'm going to read this evening will appeal to you, Ken. You'll get Wendellberry's spirit, or the Mad Farmer's spirit at least. Holly Bransner and Jeff. Hi, Richard, number 77 and 78. That's 250 Halcyons there. Vernon's and 2 James peated bourbon, respectively, tonight. Very nice. Ken says, I always do this. Ken says, Ken Plummer, Defiance, Ohio, Halcyon 450 number 90. DD214, drinking a Rip It energy drink. Keeping it powering through here. Jim Bledsoe. Jim, 450 number 163, Youngstown here. Good to see you, Jim. Nicholas Gee, Southeastern Connecticut, Griffin number 200 on order. Fantastic. Ken says audio is solid. Thank you, Ken. NW Metalbug. Hi, Halcyon 250 number 164, Oregon. Good to see you, my friend. Confediank, there he is. Howdy from Central North Carolina. I'm barely sipping some water. Just had a tooth pulled. Oof. Sorry to hear that. Mark Herschel, Halcyon 450 number 232. Should be delivered next week. Jackson, California. Well, I think, my friend, that your bike just left. Literally about 15 minutes ago. Charles McGahagan, hello from Eastern Maryland. H250 number 454. May fix some iced coffee. Very good. Good to see you, Charles. Gary Smith. Hey, Gary. Gary from East Lansing, Michigan. Halcyon 250 number 79. Halcyon 450 number 3. And Phoenix 250 number 79. The last 250 Phoenix, that is. Straw Dog, excited about the new line. Great. Well, we're going to dig into it, as I said. Dave Daniels, Halcyon 450 number 186. Where did those beautiful leather saddlebags come from? Which ones are you talking about? I'm not sure which ones you're referring to. Oh, I don't know. Let me know. Dave Husky. Hey, Dave. David Halcyon 250 number 138, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Mark Luther, future owner here. Love the Halcyon 450. Fantastic. Well, I don't know if you have one on order or not, but if you don't, ask us any questions you want, and if you do the same, or suggestions. Dan Radimski, share the numbers. Yep. Magnet is Arnold. Sorry, I keep scrolling too fast. Arnold Bronson. Brent from Maumee, Ohio. Griffin number 145 on order. Good to see you as always, Brent. Michael Trueblood. Hey, Michael. Hello from Pittsburgh. Nicholas Gee, the bargain price motorcycle builds you have now. What a price. Hope you sell a ton. Thank you. I do too. Confediank says, how's everyone's January going? Mine's going pretty well. It's off to a good start. Busy day today, to be sure. Magnet says, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Triumph T120. Nice. Royal Enfield Himalaya. Very cool. And a classic 350. A Yamaha XT250. Also very cool. And maybe a Halcyon in the future. Fantastic. Ron says, evening from Florida. Good to see you. Racing the Sun. Great. Felix Brothers here. H450 number 120 and number 121. Ahoy. Origin bikes are a great idea. Great to see. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Doug Bosch, howdy from Rhode Island. Halcyon 505. Dave Bowen. Hey, Dave. 450 number 41. Out in the wilds of Washington. Old Chub Scotch Ale. Malty and chewy. As always, good to see you. Straw Dog says he's drinking nettle tea. Nettle tea. Do you have a sore throat? Tom Lathrop. Tom, 250, number 1008, Burlington, Wisconsin, seltzer water. Love the Origin model idea. Dan Radimski and Confediank says to Dan, I didn't expect a Star Trek comparison, but I can see it. Ben Ferrer. Hello from Halcyon 450, number 43, Poppy, drinking Theraflu daytime. That's a standby for me when I have a sore throat as well. Eric, I actually kind of like the way Theraflu tastes. Eric Fritz, hey all, 450 number 114. Good to see you, Eric. Matt Calder, good evening from Traverse City, a place that's dear to my heart. Mac here, Halcyon number 56. Very cool. Nicholas Gee says, anyway, to get another Phoenix made, I waited too long. Well, I think we have one for sale right now, actually. Beautiful, stunning bike. I think it's still for sale. We got it in on trade. It's a pretty recent model. It's got the new, our fenders that we make. It's in blue with red pinstripe on the wheels and the bike. I walked in and it was kind of dusty when we got it back from the customer, and Kelly detailed it, and as she always does, she made it look like $1 million, and I was just stunned by how good it looked. So take a look on the website. I'm not sure if it's still available or not. They go pretty quick. Now that we stopped making them. Ken Plumber, those sleeves make me think you should make a speed racer color scheme. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, my Deus Ex Machina, God in the Machine shirt. Speaking of my apparel, check out this. This is my Christmas present. Milwaukee heated vest. I got to turn it down a little bit because I'm cooking. But in this old, cold building, it's really nice. It takes an M12 battery in the back pocket. Needless to say, today I was getting a lot of jokes about being a cyborg, but I am not. I am just taking advantage of technology. Let's see. We got a couple more comments before we move on. He says, I need a helmet to match. Yeah. I used to have a Dazzle. I don't have it here. You know, the World War I Dazzle paint scheme where they put on big, battleships that would break up the lines of the boat. I had a helmet. It was black and white Dazzle. When I rode cross country, I wore that. Roger Junt, I don't know how you pronounce your name, Roger. Hello from Sturgis, South Dakota. There's two of you over there. Halcyon 250 number 1018. Confed Yank, a 450 Phoenix would be sweet. Yes, it would. It would. And we'll see what comes next. We've always got different things up our sleeves. But that's not a promise. Dave Daniels, again, JM186. I might not ask the right question, but who made the stock saddlebags? But who made the leather saddlebags on my bike? Oh, yeah. No, you asked a great question. I didn't know if you were referring to something you saw here. The name of the fellow who makes your bags is Mark Borkholder. He's a Amishman who works over about 20 miles from us, and he has made every single Janus leather saddlebag all the way back to the very first one. He actually was the 8th grade teacher of Glenn, who is the guy who helped develop all the tooling and still does for a lot of our bikes. So, dear friend and trusted partner. So when we have a new product, he's the person I go to. All handmade, and they're very beautiful. So as you said. Brent says, by the way, the chat color text size worked great for me at least. Yeah, it is. And I don't know how I select the color. I think it's depends on what the program is thinking, because today it's orange, and that works really well. I did not select that, and I do not have the ability to change it apparently. So tonight we're in luck. We can read each other's names, but I can change the text size, and I did that, and I think that works a lot better. Thank you all for your for noting that. Okay, we are already almost 15 minutes in, and we're on track. So we're going to go ahead and read. I don't know if you all saw, but I posted up that if anyone's familiar with Wendell Berry. Wendell Berry is a agrarian farmer, poet, philosopher, essayist, economist, among many things. And I enjoy reading a lot of his stuff. Not the least of which is this book, which I received. Man, it's been over 10 years. I got it for Christmas. But it's called the Mad Farmer Poems. It's a beautiful engraving of the Mad Farmer himself on the front, with his team of horses that he's kind of a Luddite. And as we'll see in this poem, the one at least I've chosen for this evening, I think he would get the rambling. He doesn't just get it. He rambles. So, without further ado, The Contrariness of the Mad Farmer by Wendell Berry. I am done with apologies. If contrariness is my inheritance and destiny, so be it. If it is my mission to go in at exits and come out at entrances, so be it. I have planted by the stars in defiance of the experts, and tilled somewhat by incantation and by singing, and reaped as I knew by luck and heaven's favor, in spite of the best advice. If I have been caught so often laughing at funerals, that was because I knew the dead were already slipping away, preparing a comeback, and can I help it? And if at weddings I have gritted and gnashed my teeth, it was because I knew where the bridegroom had sunk his manhood, and knew it would not be resurrected by a piece of cake. Dance, they told me, and I stood still. And while they stood quiet in line at the gate of the kingdom, I danced. Pray, they said, and I laughed, covering myself in the earth's brightness, and then stole off gray into the midst of a revel and prayed like an orphan. When they said, I know that my Redeemer liveth, I told them, he's dead. And when they told me, God is dead, I answered, he goes fishing every day in the Kentucky River. I see him often. When they asked me, would I like to contribute, I said no. And when they had collected more than they needed, I gave them as much as I had. When they asked me to join them, I wouldn't, and then went off by myself and did more than they would have asked. Well then, they said, go and organize the International Brotherhood of Contraries. And I said, did you finish killing everybody who was against peace? So be it. Going against men, I have heard at times a deep harmony thrumming in the mixture. And when they ask me what I say, I don't know. It is not the only or the easiest way to come to the truth. It is one way. That's a good one. All right. Okay. Boy, that was a good one. Let's see if we've got any more comments. Jim says, any thought about white tires for the 450? I have put some thought into tires, color options for the 450, and unfortunately, they don't make them in that size. And if we want to get white tires, you really have to go for the kind of vintage, like 24 or 28 inch. These big, and Coker is a company that makes a lot of really beautiful tires, but unfortunately, not in modern tire sizes that are really appropriate for our bikes. That said, we are working right now on making white wall tires an available option for all our models. And if you would like to get white wall tires for your bike ahead of us having them, you can always look up Portowall, Portowall, and it's a brand that makes they've been making white wall inserts for your motorcycle and car tires for decades, and it's just an insert, so you can you unmount your tire, slide in the white wall, and then it takes a little bit of wiggling around and everything, but they look really good. We used to run them on mopeds, and I know some folks that run them on like Model Ts. You can just take a regular tire, and they seal really well against the tire, and they look pretty good. So like any white wall tire, they take some cleaning, but it's a good option. Dan Radimsky says, I laughed out loud. I'm guessing about the poem. Charles says, I keep thinking 60s coffee shop with bongos in the background and everyone snapping their fingers. Nice. That was a good one, says NW Metal Bug. Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. All right. Well, I don't have a huge program, kind of like last week this evening. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Origin model line and kind of share my excitement about it. And see if y'all had any questions. This is a great, don't forget, right now we have, looks like, let me see how many people we have on the stream. We have 54 folks watching right now. Isn't that crazy? It's incredible. I don't know. I think it's so interesting that I can walk into the empty shop and be talking to 54 different people around the country. And in some cases, if our friend, what's his name? The fellow from England, Sirius. If sometimes it's around the world, so very neat. But anyway, where was I going with that? Rambling as usual. It's been a busy couple of weeks trying to prepare the Origin line. I don't know if y'all realize how much work goes into just the logistics of launching something like this, because we have to have all the part numbers figured out, all the VINs sorted, because each bike has to have a different VIN that describes what it is, and then the whole sales process, how it's listed on the website. If you haven't already looked at it, actually, let's just go ahead and look at it. Take a peek over here. There it is. Right here, this is a good example of a little bit of artwork that Grant has spent. I think he spent quite a bit of the weekend working on all these different renders of the different models. So this would be the Halcyon 250 Origin. This is the 450 Origin and the Griffin. Just that right there. Quite a lot of work. Some graphic design, formatting, but that's just one small part of all the work that it goes to making one of these. And that's really, this has been a fairly easy model line to launch because all we're really doing is removing things. There's really no new product. We're just trying to figure out a way to streamline the production process and our inventory so that we can afford to do a cheaper, less expensive model. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. And we're just going to do it. I actually haven't looked at the, does it show up on the, so here's the website. Does it show? Oh, it does. Look at that. See, I haven't actually even seen all of it. Grant has been very busy working on this. So you have your main 250 page with all the features, specs, etc. And then we have the new trim package, and it gives you the option to either the faded one in the background would be the standard, or our new 250 Origin. And what we're doing is we're calling the standard, or really custom Halcyon 250, the Classic, which I think really works well. We have our Classic and our Origin series. So let's let me just talk a little bit about what we're trying to do, and really how we've been able to go about it. What we've noticed is, what we've certainly noticed is that over the last 4 years, especially with the COVID pandemic, that all the prices of everything have gone up. I know, being a husband and father, the cost of groceries has dramatically increased. And that's not just true for groceries, it's true of all the materials that we source. And it's also true for all the craftsmen we work with locally, that their costs have gone up, materials have gone up. And then, of course, the same thing is true internationally. And then the cost of shipping, getting things in and out of the country, is increased. A lot of the stuff we get from Italy is just the shipping costs have in some cases doubled. So it's kind of crazy. So we have certainly noticed that we've needed to raise our prices to be able to offer the product that we do, which are kind of unique, as you all know. They're not. This is not our goal from the day one when we started with the Halcyon 50 was not to make a budget bike. We wanted to make a bike that made no compromises, and we don't. A lot of people think, well, why wouldn't you make well, when we had a 250cc, they wanted a 250. When we had a 250, they wanted a 500. When we made a 450, they want a 750, and they already want a 1200. They think we're compromising on power, and I say, well, no. This is exactly what. If we wanted to make a 1200, it might actually be easier to do than what we're doing. Because they're available, but it's not what we want to do. I want to make something that fits this incredible, rambling, easy to ride, approachable, lightweight niche that I discovered through vintage mopeds and old vintage bikes. That's why I got into this, and so that's why we do this. It's a conscious choice and not a compromise. However, you can only charge so much for something, I think. And, I think we have reached a point which one of the things that we've always felt kind of responsible for is we want these things to be accessible. I don't, there are some motorcycle brands out there. I don't need to name any names, but they're incredibly expensive. Some of the brands, you'd laugh if I told you how much they cost. They're so expensive. I don't want this. We have no intention. While we want these to be, in some ways, luxury, but I don't want it to be elitist or unattainable for anyone. And we sometimes say, this may be the nicest thing some people have, and that's okay. But it's still within the realm of possibilities, and we want to keep it that way. And so as we have to kind of juggle between reality of the cost of things to make what we want, and what our goals are, it was really interesting to think about what we could remove from a motorcycle that's already so minimal that would help us with cost. And part of the way that we achieved the cost on the origin line is through removing things, like physical things. But another really even more significant way that we achieved it was by removing those things. It streamlines our production process dramatically. And it also streamlines our purchasing and inventory system. So we can, by offering only 2 colors and 1 pinstripe option, it allows us to save considerable amount that way and really be able to offer this. So that's kind of the background behind why we wanted this. And I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that it's always better if you can offer something less expensive. But I certainly don't want to take away from the opportunities or the possibilities with the classic line. I think that I bet you there's a majority of you all wouldn't trade in your fully decked out, customized bike Halcyon or your Phoenix or whatever you're riding, or Griffin, because that's the whole reason you got it. That's what we do. So we want to be able to maintain that, but then offer an introductory option. And the other thing that really sold me on the Origin line was the fact that I don't think we'll ever. It's been suggested by folks that could we offer a kit bike, and I don't know really why I balk at that idea. I just don't think that there's something about. Well, first of all, it wouldn't be what they are. I mean, they take a lot of hand fitting. This is not a BMW where everything's made perfectly. Everything's made by hand, and there's little variations, and things have to be hand fitted. It's like a Morgan car. It's everything is hand fitted, and first of all, they don't lend themselves to that easy assembly. They're not easy to assemble, trust me, and also, I think it really devalues it, like a kit car. I don't think that that's really something that we want to do. However, there's a beauty in some ways for the Rambler to be able to have a hand in their build. And that's one of the things that we love to share with our photo albums, and inviting you all to come in. If you're in the area, come by, see your shop. If you're not in the area, fly in, see your bike being built. We love that. And so, being able to integrate the owner into the build process, that kind of sold me a little bit. So one of the ideas with this is that we try and leave it as a blank slate. So probably the best example of that is the number plate. The bike will come with no number plate. That's a great way for us to save. That's a lot of time that goes into making those hand painting every number plate on both sides, and all that stuff. So we've drilled the fender, but you can install that on your own at a later date. You can install all the upgrades and options. And I think I would appreciate that in some ways. And of course, if you don't want to, we can do it for you. I think the idea of it being a blank slate is as close as we'll probably ever get to having a kit bike. Let's say that. So, what else? Well, before we dig into let's look at some comments. NW Metalbug says, our machine shop materials have gone through the roof. Yep. Dan says, was it a metal roof? Yeah. Was it a metal roof? Ken Plums, 450 was necessary for surviving highways. I do not regret getting my 450 and felt I paid fair price for it. I decided on it over buying an HD 883. Fantastic. Yeah. It's about the same power to weight ratio as a 883 Harley Sportster. Racing the Sun says, well said, Richard. Power to weight ratio and gearing plays far more of a role over just CCs than many folks realize. Absolutely. You know what we're talking about here. And owning a bike that's so beautiful and that is intentional and that is different than what other people have. It ties into the Mad Farmer would approve, I think. Nicholas Gee says, something off the lathe at full send will make materials go through the roof. Yeah. Martin Drew, I wish Modus had lasted. Yeah, me too. So you could put the V4 baby block in a Janus. Yeah, that was really kind of crushing when that happened. I knew the folks down there, Lee Kahn. They had been very generous with us here at Janus. We had a really great relationship. We actually did a show at their factory one time because they weren't worried. We had no competition between the two brands, and it was really a spirit of camaraderie that we felt with them when we would go down and visit Birmingham and the barber show. So it was really sad to see them go. Although I'm not sure I would have put a baby block in a Janus. Maybe. Grant says maybe half of it or even a quarter. Yeah, exactly. Racing the Sun, Ken, right on. I was looking at an 883 iron and a 48 and even a Triumph bobber. But when I saw the Halcyon 450 in person, the choice was easy. There we go. Perry Ford, like a Morgan. Good analogy. Yeah. Yeah, I talk about Morgan a lot. I think that there are a lot of things. We're very different in a lot of ways. Morgan has been around for over 100 years. And in some ways, they're more archaic than we are still. Wooden, components, chassis parts. But there's a lot of similarities. And we really kind of are the Morgan in some senses of motorcycles. The extent to which we are sort of Luddite in our approach and the ability you have to customize. I mean, Morgan, you can pick more leather colors than even we have. And I was raised, my mother always wanted a Morgan. And so I've known about Morgan since I was a kid and wanted one. Ken says, especially after riding the 450, easy choice. Yep. Tom Lathrop, a kit for overseas sales might be a good idea. Could be, but unfortunately the kit doesn't actually get you out of any of the... it's not a loophole because it has an engine. And so the engine is the part where, if folks were able to supply their own motor, it would be something. But it does make it difficult to sell as a manufacturer. Silver Bullet, Ike in Leavenworth, Shinko 270 classic white wall motorcycle tires will fit the Halcyon 450. There you go. That's a good option. Classic white wall. Huh. I'm gonna check those out. Silver Bullet, Ike. Make a note on that one. What is that? Shinko 270 classic white wall. Cool. I'll check those out. I think I know what you're talking about. Michael Trueblood, how much can I save by not having you drill holes in the front fender? Well, that's where the inventory part comes in, where if we can do them all the same, it actually saves us money. And so you probably wouldn't be able to save much money by not having him drill it in. Yeah. Give us a call. We can make something work. That's the thing about this. It's brand new. We've equipped our sales folks with at least a quarter of the information they need to be able to make the sales. We're gonna figure it out one way or the other. So give us a call. Be part of the story. Figure it out with us. Confed Yank is still not a Janus without Kelly's work on it. It's true, and she will. That's one of the decisions we made with the Origin model line, is that we could not do without the tank pinstripe. The pinstripe is part of the tank. It's really just the shape doesn't stand on its own. The fenders really, I think, actually look pretty good. I was actually showing, I think, you all on a Ramblestream not too long ago, a black bike that we had that the customer didn't want us to do pinstripe on the fenders. And I thought it looked pretty good. And it had our old fenders, which aren't as good looking in my opinion as the new ones. And it looked pretty good, but it did have the tank. And I just don't want to, and of course we want to have our name on it so you know what it is. So coming up with that, I think that, yeah, it really isn't a Janus without the Kelly's pinstripe on it. Gary says, I had a great time being in the shop on the last day of my Halcyon 250 build and starting it up for the first time. That is what makes Janus special. Well, thank you, Gary. Absolutely. And it's customers like Gary that make it special for us. And I do not say that lightly. It's knowing that we have such dedicated owners and supporters all over the country is what these folks that build the bikes, one of their favorite times of the year is the owners rally, when they get to see all the bikes that they built and the owners that love them. So It means a lot to us, Gary. Mark says, 997, bought bare bones with the eye bolts. All the accessories I put on. Wanted to get my hands on it. Better than the owner's manual. Fantastic. Well, there you go. You built your own. Martin Drew says, wow, great to think you knew them. Yeah, it was. They were. He's talking about Modus. Good folks. Holly says, I never would have ridden a bike if I hadn't been for Janus. It was so enticing and beautiful. It made me become a rider. Well, thank you very much, Holly. That's great. And I hope that we have that same, we can create that same inspiration in other people that don't, perhaps otherwise would not have become a motorcyclist. Tom says, I have a 200 horsepower ZX14R, and it is less a relaxing ride than my H250. I really love the simplicity and lightweight of the Halcyon 250. Yeah, as I've told y'all many times, I've ridden lots of different bikes. I make it a point to always ride everything I can, and I've ridden everything from a Katana to a H2, and I like them all. They're all fun. There's nothing wrong with a motorcycle, but for my taste, the Halcyon 250 is still what I ride most often. It's either that or a KLR 650. Although my KLR is acting up. I think I need a new. The petcock is being a little weird. But leave it to my my little Halcyon 250 to outperform the KLR. Racing the Sun, can the Origin bikes get the leather logo for a small fee? The feather logo. Oh, of course. Yeah. That's the one thing I did not talk about with the... well, let's go ahead and take a look, actually. Let's do it. Build a classic. And, oh, no, we don't want to build a classic. We want to build a... Stop. Build a Halcyon 250 Origin. Now, the Jordan builds all of our configurators. And... in the interest of getting this out there at all, we have not been able to illustrate every possible iteration, and because we really are trying to focus on folks getting the basic one. If you want the full kit and caboodle, well, then go with the classic. Yes, so that's one of the things that we do. Like I said, this is a blank slate, and so if you would like to add something to your blank slate, let us know. We can add basically anything. However, the caveat with that and the Origin line is we've added up all the costs, and so if you add everything that goes into a classic, fully customized 250 Halcyon, and you try and do it with a Origin, it's probably going to end up costing more at the end of the day, because it's not designed to fulfill that role, if that makes any sense. So going a la carte works up to a point, let's just say. And all of that is, you can see all of that here on the configurator. So let's take a look here. I'm going to move this over so you can actually see the whole screen. I'm not covering it up. There we go. So what you see here is the base model of the Origin series. I should say real quick, the hardest thing, at least for me, and I didn't do all the work on all the development of all the programming of the website and figuring out all the logistics in the background that it takes to launch this, but the hardest part for me was coming up with a name. And actually, you want to see all the things we almost named it? Let's see here. We had a long list. So we have the one I was shooting for was the Halcyon Plain, which is a joke on the Amish, because plain is what they call their manner of life. It's plain. And so I thought if we called it the Plain instead of like the Tesla Plaid, which is the fancy Tesla, we called it the Plain, it would be a joke. So I asked Leroy, who runs the fabrication shop, I said, what is the Amish word for plain? And he said, well, I guess that would be plain. Always ready with a quip. But I don't think that would, if you didn't know the Amish thing, it seemed like it wouldn't go over well. So we went through plain, basic, porta, like the Roman word for door, which would be kind of play on the Janus, portal, pattern, schema, element, standard, criterion, canon, foundation, core, theme, axiom, and origin. And I think origin is the winner clearly. And it speaks to a lot of it's the most fun coming up with the names for these things. I always enjoy it. Like coming up with the name for Janus motorcycles. I enjoyed. It was a painful process, but I enjoyed it. So anyway, there we go. Really rambling now. What time is it? 7:40. Oh, I'm going to use all my time. So here we have the most basic origin, and it's available in two colors: cream, which you see here, the Aga cream, and the gloss black, which is really a classic look. I did make a video over the weekend, and we published that today. Some of you may have seen it, and I go over a lot of these details, so I won't bore you too much with my whole. This is available in saddle brown or black for the standard fee. We can do our vintage, or no, what do they call it? Redwood, for an additional $200. I like the saddle brown myself. Number plate. See here, you can add the number plate. $150. Hand painted fender pinstripes. You can add the fender pinstripes. Hand painted airbox logo if you want to put that on there. $150. That's the Halcyon logo on the side of the airbox. Polished engine fins, which would be on the sides of the head, right here. Warranty. So this is really where we saved some cost on this, is by limiting the warranty to a 1-year warranty. And I do want to make it clear that you can add the warranty. It's $200 a year, which again kind of evens out to the cost of a classic Halcyon 250. But let's say you want to buy the bike, you want to get into it, and then come December of next year, you're like, okay, my warranty is almost up. You can always add an extra year or 2 years to it if you wanted to. And that is a great way to spread that cost out and decide if you want to do that at a later date. California kit is for those folks in California. You need that to register it. So there is the basic idea. Of course, this is available. If you look at the main page on the configurator, you can now select not only the origin or the classic, but all the different models. And I really like, Grant put a lot of work into formatting this so that it works and it's clear and it helps folks understand, especially maybe not you all, but folks that are less familiar with the Janus brand, what's going on here and what the difference between an origin is and a classic. So that's the story on the origin line. I'm very excited about this. One of the we're really looking to expand production this year and open up the ownership to more riders. Maybe this will get some younger riders in, I hope. We'll see. It's going to be a fun year. We got a lot of things, like I always have been saying in the last couple of Ramble streams. We got a lot of upgrades and options and like this models up our sleeve. Stay tuned, and I'm going to have a lot more to share. So, yeah. That's it for the origin. Let's look at some comments real quick. Jeff Massey says, showed up late, but made it. Great. Well, cheers. I never mentioned what I'm drinking. I typed it out, but I'm drinking some Evan Williams. We call him our business consultant. Jack Coleman, I'm going for a U.S. Army 1942 look. Can a bike go out the front door without pinstriping on the bike? That's where the sales folks always want to say, I have a customer who wants this, and I'm always like, I'd rather not. I think you should do it with white pinstripe or cream. It would look really good. But of course, you could get a basic one. I really just don't think that the fuel tank looks good without pinstripe. Sorry. And as the designer, it pains me to see the bike not look as good as it could. So that was one of the challenges with the Origin. Really was, I don't want to create a motorcycle that doesn't look good. So we made a lot of, I think, the right kind of balance of decision that allowed it to be reduced, but still retain everything that makes a halcyon, or a griffin. So I would encourage you, Jack, is that what you said? Yeah, Jack, to take a look at, maybe you get the olive drab with the matte satin finish, and go with maybe the no fender pinstripe. But the tank pinstripe really just ties it together. So that would be my recommendation. And you should also, I don't know if the production team will like it when I say this, but you should get the headlight visor and the bezel powder coated green too. That would really get that military look. We've had a couple of folks do that, and it really looks like it's been slapped with OD green, like a tank or a military truck. NW Metalbug, is the lithium battery that much better than a quality lead acid battery? That's a good question. Well, how do I answer that? Yes, it is. It's a lot better, actually. There are no lead acid or glass matte, which is a lead acid battery, AGM, that are small enough to actually have the cranking amps to start the bike easily. Now, I say that with some caveats, because my personal experience is I actually run a lead acid battery in number 68. It's the original battery that's always been in 68. And I credit it to the fact that I ride it so much, but I've never had to replace it. I've never had any issues, and I know how to start it. If you sit there and you don't understand how to start a carbureted bike, which is probably one of our main service issues with the Halcyon 250 line, or the 250 line, the carbureted line in general, is just the fact that it's carbureted, and folks are not familiar with the sort of mad farmer life where you choose to make things more interesting. But if you start it quickly and efficiently and you choke it correctly, they work all right. I think mine has 70 cranking amps, which is quite a bit less than what the stock lithium battery does. The lithium batteries are fantastic. Please, don't over discharge it. That's the problem. Is folks, they crank on it, they don't get the bike started. Whatever they've done wrong, they forgot to turn the fuel on, or they got bad gas and they haven't ridden it enough, and then they leave it. And that's the worst thing you can do, is let the battery get discharged and then leave it. You can discharge a battery as long as you charge it back up again within a reasonable amount of time, which is like a couple of hours, in my opinion. They say a week or something like that, but I wouldn't do that. But as long as you keep that thing charged, like on a trickle charger, it's gonna the cranking amps that those lithium batteries, they're so light and so small, and they just go. They're really good batteries. But like anything, you got to know how to work on it. So read the instructions, please, because I've put a lot of work into writing them. So yeah, I do if I had one, I would run a lithium battery. They're great. I think they're fantastic. Very lightweight. I mean, they're compared to the less powerful AGM or lead acid, they're less than half the weight. Doug Bosch says, excited to see the Halcyon goggles offered on your website. I started wearing these very goggles this past season. They are a great complement to the Janus styling and excellent protection for my eyes. Yeah, I've wanted to carry those for a long time. I used to have a pair when I rode a old vintage moped, and they're so affordable. It's kind of amazing. They're made in England, and they actually, one of the colorways that they offer is they're painted, they're not plated, gray, and that's actually what the RAF used in World War II. And I think that's really cool. So they're leather. I mean, they're beautiful. They're beautiful goggles. And some of them, since they're split screen, you can wear them over glasses. So yes, Ken Plummer, Jack, get her in satin olive drab and black pinstripe. I did that for mine. She looks GI. Nice. Yeah, you did. I love your bike, Ken. It's really good looking bike. Ken had his bike at the rally, and of course, I saw it being built. Jim says the new 650 that you'll make, call the Peregrine. Ooh, that's a good idea. I like that. The Peregrine that you'll make. I like that. That 1200 Cruiser will be called the Condor. The California Condor. Yeah. Isn't that may be extinct? I don't think we want that one. Well, yeah. Dan says, NW, lithium are far better. Lots of reasons. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they are better. It's more advanced technology. Jack says, it looks good, but I just don't want any pinstriping as the Army bikes of that time didn't have any. Okay, well, we'll see. Ken Plummer, is there any plan of offering the Wreath logo on a black patch, like the back of a jacket or vest? I haven't thought of that, but that's a good idea. All right, I'll make a note. The new Wreath logo. Nicholas Gee, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. G. Agree with Dan. Lithium battery is great if well made. These ones are. Yeah, I would like to speak to that actually. We often say, oh, there was a bad batch or something like that. Well, there was a bad batch, but it was in no fault of EarthX. They received a bad batch of components. They tested out. All the batteries tested fine. They test every single battery, and it was only in service that these lower quality MOSFET units, which is this, it's kind of beyond my comprehension, but a MOSFET is a electrical component, the circuit that helps operate the battery, and the MOSFETs were of poorer quality, and so that was what happened. They've addressed it, and they stand behind their product. They're great. So nothing but love for EarthX. They're kind of made famous by the fact that they are the battery of choice for experimental aircraft. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. Keith Haywood. Hey, Keith. 706 in New York. The original option may be my first Griffin. That's good to hear. Fantastic. MacGyver55. Hey, Richard. Randy H. Halcyon 450 number 187 mint chip. Northwest Florida. I think I remember that. I remember that bike. Would like to purchase the rear rack for it without the pillion pad to use as a luggage rack, coffee, and fresh grilled pork chops. Nice. The best way to do that is not through me, MacGyver, but Randy. It's on our website, or give us a call. Talk to Danielle, and we can get you all hooked up. We got plenty of them. And by the way, I just selected the foam density on the Sergeant seats today, and so we are almost done. We got to make one more adjustment to the seat, the cover size, and they'll all be ready to go. I think we're going to actually start taking pre-orders on those like very soon here. I apologize how long it always seems to take, but that's how these things go. Jeff Massey, Halcyon looks good always. Even on their worst day, they look gorgeous. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's true. Nicholas Gee, you want to be technical. Lead acid, vent hydrogen and oxygen, explosive, and also trace amounts of sulfuric acid. They also can leak and cause lots of rust. It's true. And I've had, I don't know about inhaling hydrogen or sulfuric acid because I've never experienced it. I mean, who knows if I did or not? I probably do, but I have experienced the spillage or leaking, and that it's caustic, and it will corrode. NW Metalbug, I haven't had any problems with my lead acid, but I can see if it starts hard, it could. Think I'll get a lithium this spring. Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep running my AGM glass mat lead acid as long as I can, just because I'm contrarian, and to see how long it'll last. But the lithium, I highly recommend the lithium batteries. And I also highly recommend read the instructions on how to maintain them and deal with them. You know, it's one of those things you don't want to crank on it for more than 5 seconds at a time. You will toast the circuitry. But you all know that. You're ramblers. You know this stuff. Nicholas Gee, Metalbug, the battery and carb are going to be the biggest issue with the bike that's sit. Yes, that is true. You're 100% right. Daily use does great things for motorcycles. Absolutely. It doesn't even have to be daily. A couple of times a month is better than, I think what a lot of these, sometimes folks will let their bike sit for longer periods, and that's when you really get problems. So don't let the gas sit in the carburetor. Drain your carb and keep that battery on a tender. And if it's a lithium battery, keep it on a tender that has a dedicated lithium mode so that it doesn't overcharge your lithium battery. Enough don't eat paint warnings. I shouldn't have to give those to you. Confetti Yank. Well, the motorbikes from that time also didn't have any shiny parts. It's true. Yeah, they had fewer chrome. Yeah. Excuse me. Nicholas Gee says, last name is Galtieri. Just go by G. Oh, there we go. Nicholas G. Great. I got it. Not Gee. Not Indian for butter. Like my privacy for the most part. Yeah, me too. Me too. Just for y'all. Y'all know who I am. All right. Well, I think we've gotten through most of the comments. Oh, there's Kyle Stevenson. Hey, good to see you, Kyle. Kyle, if you don't know, organizes the Rider Rot Vintage Motorcycle Show down in Fort Wayne every year, which we have been proud participants of for every year they've ever done it, which I forget how many years we're going on now, Kyle. Remind me. How many years has Rider Rot been going on? Good to see you. Rev says... Oh, I said something, then it went away. Okay. Well, 7 years. And I think that is not including being gone for COVID. So it's a good show. Well, what time is it? 7:57. We are exactly on time. All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions, comments, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. It's been wonderful hanging out with all of y'all. I think we had almost 60 people on this evening, which is fantastic. It's always good to see everybody hang out, share a little time and a little beverage with y'all. Give us a call if you have any questions on the Origin line. If you run into people that have questions, give them the good news, tell them about the Origin line, and point them our way. We are working on selling a lot more bikes this year. So that's the story. Thank you all very much, as always, and I will catch you all next Monday, whatever day that is, and I will see you then. Thank you so much, and catch you later. Bye-bye.